exciting stuff on tap here for Milford Legion baseball tonight as the fans continue to trickle in. They're getting set up out on the field right now. All of the pregame warm-ups are done. They've set a table up out along the first base line. They have brought out the Intrastate Championship trophy from last year. They also have the enlarged Intrastate Tournament bracket, which ended up becoming a souvenir. A couple of those were brought back as souvenirs after Milford brought the championship home. A couple of them were given out autographed by the entire team at the Legion banquet last year. I believe a few players, J.J. Branch and Matt Forelli, I believe, have one of those as a memento. Coach Mackey may have one as well, but they did bring one of those here, signed by the entire 2013 team with that bracket that shows Milford going all the way to a championship. So a lot of the returning players out there on the field right now. Linda and Chris Marcone out there on the field as well, starting to say a few words. And certainly a nice atmosphere here. All of the Maine South players also, kudos to them, have come out to the edge of their dugout. They've taken a knee to watch this pregame festivity. Maybe seeing a little bit of the success that this Legion season can bring, seeing what the 2013 team was able to accomplish. Having those alumni in the house tonight might be a little boost to the current team to get off the losing streak tonight, bring the first win of the season, and really start to allow the pressure to come off and allow this team to settle into a successful season. A round of applause taking place out there right now as Chris Marcone continues to speak. He's now handed off the microphone to Brian Mackey. And of course, Coach Mackey always engaging, getting a laugh out of the crowd now as he takes the microphone, saying that he's happy to see all of the fans and supporters of Legion baseball that are always out here at the ballpark, always traveling with the team. Showing his appreciation for the executive board, for Post 59, for all the work they do for the team. So Coach Mackey, gracious as always, thanking all of the people involved in the team. It's sometimes easy to overlook the people that are a little bit more behind the scenes. You obviously see and hear from the players on a regular basis. You see and hear from the coaching staff, but there is a good deal of personnel that does a lot of work behind the scenes and doesn't often get notoriety. And Chris and Linda Marcone certainly top that list. There are a lot of other people that do a lot of hard work to make this Legion season go smoothly, get everything organized with the team. And it's certainly a long process. I'm sure there is a lot of planning that goes into the new season and putting the team together that extends far beyond just the months where the games are actually going on. So Coach Mackey thanking all of those people to start off his speech. And now at this time, they are bringing out the players one by one to receive some recognition. Brendan Pounds coming out first, a current member of the Post 59 team. Now Andy McMillan coming out to a round of applause. They're going to stay out there. It looks like they're presenting each player with a pullover that is going to commemorate the 2013 championship. Now some of last year's players starting to come out to be recognized. Mike Tracy, one of the starting pitchers on last year's team, no longer with Post 59, coming out and being recognized. And now Drew Wild coming out, trying to pay close attention to the introductions as it's hard to spot the players no longer in uniform. So Drew Wild out there shaking hands with his former teammates. And now here's Joe Cortez, last year's backup catcher and utility man, played a number of positions, played around the infield, made a couple of relief appearances, and took over catching duties towards the end of the playoffs when Nick Crivello was out of commission. More players coming out now as all of the current members of Post 59 at the very edge of the dugout, taking in all of the festivities. And now Scott Hubner, last year's leadoff hitter, played just about every single game in the outfield for Post 59 last year, was a terrific hitter at the top of the lineup, a patient hitter, came through in some clutch situations, and he will certainly be remembered for all of the personality he brought to this team as well. Now Matt Tessina, current member of Post 59, he'll be in the leadoff spot in the lineup tonight, coming out to be congratulated. Now Scott DeCapua. So a couple of players still part of this Post 59 team getting their due congratulations. And now Dan Avery, who was on the mound when Post 59 clinched that championship, pitched a lot of innings out of the bullpen on that championship Sunday. Now Cam Cosette, who pitched a no-hitter and also made the catch on the final out that secured the championship for Post 59, getting congratulated. And Dan Mantoni, one of the grizzled veterans, as I like to call him, on this team now. He's been around for as long as I've been covering this team. Such a good leader, leads by example. A couple of players being recognized that unfortunately could not be here tonight. Now Nick Crivello coming out to get congratulated. You certainly cannot understate the contributions that Nick Crivello made to this team behind the plate, working with that pitching staff day after day. It's good to see him back at the ballpark. And now they've just recognized David Sampson and Kevin Martinez, who, as we just mentioned, are not here tonight due to winning in the semifinal game in the state championship bracket. So they're getting a round of applause, and they are now bringing out the final player to be recognized, and that is Matt Forelli. Getting a big cheer from the fans on hand here. Of course, I could probably sit here for the next half hour and go through all of the contributions that Matt Forelli made to this team over the last several years, hitting right in the middle of this Post 59 lineup. Hit well over 400 throughout the season last year. Had a memorable grand slam here at Pheno Field a couple of years ago. A ballpark that is almost impossible to hit a home run in. Not only did he hit a home run, but it was a grand slam, and also several walk-off hits to his credit as well. So finishing out this ceremony with a congratulations to Matt Forelli. And so one more round of applause in the crowd right now as they complete the celebration for this team again. One more hearty congratulations to that 2013 championship team. What a fun ride it was. I was certainly thrilled to be sitting here behind the microphone to call all of those games and call that championship game. First, the visitors, Maine South Post 341, leading it off is the second baseman Cam Murphy, with the center fielder Michael Sullivan batting second. DJ Scavone plays first base and hits third, with John Roy, the DH, in the cleanup spot. Matt LeClaire, the right fielder, bats fifth, while Anthony Wrench, the shortstop, bats sixth. It's the third baseman Mark Brusso who bats seventh, with George Schmidt catching and batting eighth. And in the ninth spot is the left fielder Pat Fitzgerald. And on the mound pitching for Maine South is Dave Monahan. And for Milford Post 59, the starting lineup looking a little different than what we've seen the previous two games. Top of the lineup looks the same. The left fielder Matt DeCina leads off, with Joe White playing second base and batting second. Dan Mantoni, the shortstop, bats third, and Andrew McMillan plays third base. He is the cleanup hitter. Blake Hill plays right field and bats fifth, with Dan Avery in the lineup playing first base and batting sixth. Scott DeCapua is the designated hitter, and he bats seventh, with Jeff Basazzi, the catcher, batting eighth. And in the ninth spot, back in the starting lineup tonight, is Brendan Pounds, the center fielder. And on the mound, making his Legion debut on the pitcher's mound this season, is Kevin Lynch, the right-hander, continuing his warm-up tosses. So those are your starting lineups again. And before we see the first pitch, a very special guest joining us in the booth here for a little bit here tonight, none other than the head coach of that 2013 Milford Legion Baseball Intrastate Championship team. It is Brian Mackey. Coach Mackey, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Tim. I appreciate it. Looking forward to win number one here for tonight for Coach DeVito and the squad.
Well, certainly hoping that the 2013 team brings a little bit of their luck to the ballpark tonight. First pitch coming up here is now Kevin Lynch has completed his warm-up tosses. He sends the first pitch in there to the leadoff hitter Cam Murphy, and it's a little bit high for ball one. So nice seeing all the guys back here at the ball field again.
Definitely exciting just to think about all those memories from last year and things they can take with them the rest of their lives.
The 1-0 pitch down and in, and Lynch falling behind in the count. 2-0 to Cam Murphy, the Post 341 second baseman.
Good to see the families and the friends come out too to support them tonight. So it's nice crowd here for that.
Absolutely. Pheno filling up nicely as this pitch is hit in the air down the line in left field towards foul ground. Three Milford players converge. It's the left fielder Matt DeCina who makes the catch, and the leadoff hitter is retired. A couple of your former players playing in the state semifinal game with Bellingham High School. David Sampson, Kevin Martinez, also another player we'll see in the Milford Legion colors this year, Michael Ryan, and those players moving on to the championship game. So exciting for those guys.
Great run for them. You know, great guys, and David Sampson and Kevin Martinez. I've heard great things about Michael Ryan as well. So you got to wish them the best coming up this weekend, and hopefully they can get the job done and get that feeling all over again that they felt the end of last summer. They can feel it for the high school team, which is going to be a great accomplishment, and hopefully they can get it done.
One out and the base is empty. Michael Sullivan, the center fielder at the plate. He sends one high in the air right around the shortstop spot. Dan Mantoni taking charge, and he makes the catch for the second out of the inning. Dan Mantoni, a guy, coach, that you're very familiar with, one of the real leaders on this team now, having so much experience playing with this team for the last couple of years. What do you think he brings to this team this season?
Again, the experience is the huge thing. With Legion Ball and knowing the grueling schedule you have, just having a guy like that to be your leader and captain and come into the field prepared to play, but not only physically but mentally. And a guy like that is just grown leaps and bounds every year. And this year, I don't expect anything less. And, you know, he's going to be a guy they can count on to get the job done.
2 outs and the base is empty. The first pitch into DJ Scavone misses for ball 1. We've seen 2 quick outs so far in this inning. A pop up to left field, and that pop up to the shortstop. And now this one trickles its way to the backstop and then goes to a count of 2-0. Coach Mackey here joining us in the press box at Pheno Field after the 2013 championship team was honored pregame. 2-0 pitch coming up here. And it's another pop-up. This one out in the air, out into shallow right field. Joe White ranging out from second base. And that ball in and out of the glove of Blake Hill. It looked like he had the third out secured, but all of a sudden, that one poked free, and down to second base goes DJ Scavone, a near 1-2-3 inning, but now a runner at second base for Maine South.
You got to regroup and just get the next one now and get out of this inning.
Joe White went a long way out of second base to try to make the play with his back to home plate. It was a much easier play for Blake Hill. You have to wonder if maybe having White out there in close proximity maybe contributed to a little lack of focus. So that gives an opportunity to John Roy, the designated hitter. He steps in on the right side and looks at the first pitch. A little off the plate for ball 1. Coach Dan Avery pitching the first game for Post 59 this year, a solid 6 innings. Certainly a guy that has some big shoes to fill as the ace of this staff now in the absence of J.J. Branch, but we've seen a lot of quality performances out of him on the mound over the years.
Absolutely. Someone I know Coach DeVito is looking forward to every 5th day to go out there and get the job done and keep the game close and give Milford a chance to win. And more often than not, I know they're going to get the win when he's pitching out there. He's just a solid competitor, just a solid athlete, and a guy you want on your side.
1-1 pitch is swung on and missed. Chasing that one a little bit outside of the strike zone was Roy. DJ Scavone is the runner at second base. He reached on the error out in right field. Takes his lead off of second base now as Kevin Lynch, the starting pitcher, looks to get out of any potential damage in this inning. Here's the 1-2 pitch. It drops in just a little bit low, and that evens up the count. 2 balls, 2 strikes with 2 outs in the inning. And another look in now for Lynch towards his battery mate, Jeff Basazzi. Now the 2-2 pitch is swung on and missed. Chasing a high fastball was John Roy, so a good job by Lynch to regroup after the error. We're through half an inning of play with Coach Mackey here joining us in the broadcast booth. We'll be back with more after this. Scoreless at Pheno Field on your home from Milford Legion Baseball, WMRC First Class Radio. Milford getting ready to take their first swings of this ball game. Tim Coet here on the call for Milford Legion Baseball. Happy to be joined by last year's head coach of this Legion team, Brian Mackey, as we see Matt DeCina step into the batter's box on the left side. About to face off against Dave Monahan, the starting pitcher for Post 341. It was a last-minute change for the coaching staff of Maine South. Had another starter tapped for this game, but a late arrival to the ballpark, and so it was Monahan who was brought in to make this start. We'll see how he is able to fare over the course of this game. It's a 1-0 count to start on DeCina, and now he steps out of the batter's box. Coach Mackey, certainly a different kind of year for you this past year, I would imagine. Your first year as the vice principal over at the high school, no longer head coach of the softball team for Milford or this Legion team. What has the spring been like without without being in the dugout at all?
Yeah, been different. Been in the office, working with the students at Milford High. It's been a great experience working with our principal, Carrie Banack, and our other assistant principal, Mark McGilvray. Both great people to work with, and really enjoyed the year.
A 1-1 count now on Matt DeCina getting things started for Milford here in the bottom of the first inning. Joe White waits on deck. Monahan ready with another pitch. Here it comes. And it's down and in. Brings the count to 2-1. Matt DeCina, first-year player on the squad last year. What did you see out of DeCina's growth over the course of 2013?
I think versatility is the first word that comes to mind.
As he sends this pitch back up the middle, a long run for the center fielder, and a diving catch is made by Michael Sullivan.
Nice play.
In an all-out dive into the gap in left center field. That looked like it was going to get down for a base hit for DeCina, but denied by the center fielder for Maine South, Michael Sullivan.
Good at bat by DeCina. Those were the things we saw last year from him as he grew, and really solidified us at second base. And started as an outfielder. Now he's back in the outfield. I know this season, but really helped us at second base a lot last year. So his versatility was a huge plus for us.
Joe White now up there. He takes the first pitch low for ball one. Base is empty for Milford with one out in the inning. The 1-0 pitch ready. And it's in there for a strike. 1-1 with one out and the base is empty. Monahan's next pitch now. And that misses for ball two. Early in the season here, Coach, I know you experienced this a lot in your years here with the overlap between the high school seasons and the playoffs going on there and the Legion season, as that pitch misses for another ball, bringing the count now to 3-1. What is that like, trying to get this team together? You don't have a lot of practices. Oftentimes you don't see the full squad together until even a couple of games deep into the season. What's that like in the dugout? We'll get that answer momentarily, as now Joe White sends this pitch out into right field for a one-out single, sharply hit, getting past the second baseman, Cam Murphy. One on with one out now for Milford.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what I commented about Dan Antoni, him coming up here right now too. Just the experience. Those experienced players have to really get this team to come together and really understand that they're here to do a job every day, and that's to win. And as long as you're winning, it's going to be fun. And like we did last year, we played and won that last game of the season, and that's something special.
Going into the set position now is Monahan. His first pitch into Dan Mantoni is inside for a ball.
But the added challenge this year is with the Bellingham boys. You have three of those guys that go on to the state final game. You're not going to see them for a good first 2 weeks of the season, and it makes it a challenge because they're all going to be major contributors to this team.
Mantoni hits one on the ground. That's going to get through the hole on the left side of the infield. It's a single for Mantoni. And Milford trying to get a little rally going here. They have runners at first and second base with only one out, and now Andy McMillan coming to the plate.
Another player last year that came up big for us at the end of the season. Had some big hits in the playoffs and played some solid third base for us all season long. A guy that really is growing up here as the years have gone on. And hopefully this year, I know Coach DeVito is going to be counting on him a lot in the middle of the order to drive in some important runs. And again, this is an opportunity right here for him to kind of break out for us.
Andy McMillan, it seemed like he struggled a little bit at times during the regular season last year to find that consistency at the plate, but he found it at the most critical point of the season, at the end of the regular season, heading into the postseason, and particularly his performance. I talked about it a couple of games ago in that interstate sectional round. I believe he was 7 for 10 over the course of that series. He was nearly impossible to get out, and when you have a guy get that hot at that time, it certainly helps you out.
Yeah, especially Legion baseball. It's just a compact season. You know, when you're hitting slump, it seems like it's forever, but really it was only a few weeks when you think about it. And then he just came out on fire for us in the playoffs, and timing's everything. And let the pitch go here. And then I think it comes down to the simple fact is I think he traded the regular season for what he did in the playoffs for us any day, because I would definitely do it again. I mean, he was on fire for us in that interstate sectional round and definitely helped us get to that final 8 and eventually win it.
A 1-0 count now to McMillan. Here's the next pitch. And that one misses as well. 2-0 the count. So Monahan getting himself into a little bit of a jam here. A hitter's count from McMillan at 2-0 with Joe White taking a lead off of second base. Dan Mantoni aboard at first. Here's the next pitch, and it misses upstairs. 3-0 the count. Waiting on deck is the right fielder, Blake Hill. McMillan back into the box. Here's that 3-0 pitch. McMillan taking all the way, and he takes a called strike. Third baseman creeping in, Mark Brusso, close to the grass. Here's the 3-1. This one's hit high in the air, out to shallow center field. It's the shortstop now who fields it just a step or two onto the outfield grass. And Andrew McMillan making the second out now here in the first, and that's going to leave it up to Blake Hill. Blake Hill's had a couple of hits in the first 2 games of the season. He doubled in the first game against Leominster, was one of just 2 Milford batters to collect a base hit in the game yesterday, as Milford came within 4 outs of getting no hit in the ball game last night. Certainly the team usually getting off to a hot start offensively, but it's been just a little bit of a struggle to find that groove in these first 2 games. Hill now up there with an even count of 1 ball and 1 strike. How hard is it to just jump right into this season coming off of high school and not miss a beat at the plate?
Yeah, it is. It's tough, especially for guys where their season ended a little bit earlier than they wanted to. They had a little more of a break, and they got to try to get back to that groove of seeing live pitching. And you can simulate it as best you can in practice, but the game speed and game action and the adrenaline and all that is something you got to be able to experience, to understand and know, and especially when it's Legion ball and you have such great talent on the field every night.
1-2 pitch coming in.
It does make it a challenge.
That pitch missing low. Now the count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes, 2 outs, and runners at first and second base. Joe White grabbing a 1-out single. Dan Mantoni following up with a single of his own. Those runners still aboard with 2 outs. Blake Hill looking for that clutch hit for post 59. The 2-2 pitch freezes him, and it's in there for a called strike 3. So Milford gets 2 aboard here in the first inning, but they cannot score. We're through 1 full inning of play now from Pheno Field. It's scoreless on your home for Milford Legion Baseball, WMRC First Class Radio. You're back here at Pheno Field now for the top of the 2nd inning. We'll see batters 5, 6, and 7 come up for post 341 in this inning. It's a scoreless game thus far. Kevin Lynch back out on the mound for Milford, and continuing to join me in the broadcast booth is Coach Brian Mackey, as Matt LeClaire fouls the first pitch up and out of play. Lynch up there on the right side. He's the right fielder for Maine South, now sending another pitch foul, and Lynch is ahead in the count. 0-2. You guys had such consistency throughout your pitching staff last year, Coach. A lot of starters who you just knew right from the start they were going to give you a quality performance every time, whether it was J.J. Branch, Dan Avery, Mike Tracy. All of those guys really gave you great starts, and even Cam Cosette and Kevin Martinez when you needed those guys. A lot of changes to the starting rotation this year. How do you think these new guys are going to mold themselves into the starting rotation this year?
They're going to get used to it. You know, they're going to understand the season as it goes and how important it is to let this play go.
It's a ball hit on the ground to third base, played cleanly by Andy McMillan, but the throw gets past Avery at first base. It travels into foul ground, but backed up there, no further advance from the runner.
Yeah, the big thing is with the Legion season is you need a lot of pitchers. Obviously, we know that how it happens, you know, and it doesn't matter how your high school season went. It matters about how your Legion season's going. So you got to be ready to step up when you get that chance to have the ball in your hand and do the best you can, and that's what it comes down to. And last year, fortunately for us, it really became like a pitching staff. We had guys who started games, we had middle guys, and we have a closer in David Sampson. So it was really a nice benefit for us to be able to come to the field knowing that.
Turning to bunt now is Anthony Wrench. The runner takes off as the pitch goes in the dirt. Basazi can't handle it cleanly, and down to second base uncontested is LeClaire. So a man in scoring position now for Maine South with nobody out in the inning. It's a scoreless tie here at Pheno Field.
And again, the new setup with the playoffs and how things are set up, it does help the coaching staff, I think, a lot more too, because they're able to use different guys in different roles and see what they have and really understand what it's going to be like going into the end of the season and hopefully into the playoffs, so you have an idea of what you're all about. Because one loss, two losses isn't the end of the world.
The 1-1 pitch is hit out into right field. That's going to get down for a base hit. They will hold the runner, LeClaire, at third base. It's a single for Anthony Wrench after turning to bunt a couple of times. He hits it out into right, and now Maine South has runners at the corners. You bring up the playoff format this year, Coach, and I think a lot of people have really shown a lot of positive reactions to the format this year now. No more midseason tournaments, no more qualifying tournaments.
Yep.
Everyone playing out their regular season and letting that speak for itself, determining the playoffs. That just, I would assume, makes all the difference in the world for these guys being able to ease into the season.
Makes a huge difference, especially, I mean, you're sitting here with Milford 0-2, but talking to Coach DeVito, we both agree. I mean, there's a long season to go, and there's a lot of things that are going to happen. Last year, 0-2 would have been a different story because that midseason tournament would be so close to happening already, you know. And now they can learn from that, and that's the most important thing. They got to learn from that.
Runner takes off for second base as this pitch is hit in the air out to center, settling underneath is Pounds. He makes the catch. The runner retreats to first, but tagging up and coming in to score is Matt LeClaire from third base. It's a sacrifice fly for Mark Brusso, the third baseman. And Maine South takes a 1-0 lead. Runner at first now with one out in the inning, and the catcher George Schmidt coming to the plate. Had this been the playoff format a year ago, how confident are you that Milford would have made their way all the way to that Northeast Regionals?
I mean, I said it the night of the banquet. I mean, I really liked how we were playing. And you look at the run we were on and the pitchers we had, like you said, it does go back to pitching, you know. But at the same time, I really liked our lineup too. We had some guys in the middle of our lineup that were coming up with some big RBIs. We had guys at the top that were getting the job done, and we had guys at the bottom of the order that were doing the job and turning the lineup over. So we were playing our best ball at the right time. So I would have loved to have been down there and seen what would have happened. I had the utmost confidence in our guys that we could have made a run even further if we were allowed that opportunity. But unfortunately, the way the Legion had it set up, that was not going to be the case. And we, at that point, were only allowed to play to that point. We won that last game that we were allowed to play, and that's something, again, that I'm very proud of my guys and the coaching staff, and we'll hang our hat on that the rest of the we go.
It's a 2-ball, no strike count on Schmidt. The last ball dropping in the dirt, that allowed Anthony Wrench to take second base, so he's down in scoring position. As that pitch misses, now a 3-ball, no strike count. Lynch surrendering a run here to give Maine South the lead. Another man in scoring position. Here's the 3-0 pitch, and it's not close. Schmidt walks down to first base. 2 on now with 1 out for Maine South, and here comes the number 9 hitter, Pat Fitzgerald. You talk about winning that last game that you play in the season. That was something that I heard you talk about a lot at the end of last year. Yeah. And you ended up having an opportunity to witness that with both of the teams you coached last year, with the softball team winning that second straight national or state championship, I should say, and then Post 59 winning their championship. How much did that play into the decision to step away from coaching this year, the fact that you had all of that success with both of those teams? Did you feel like that was a good opportunity for you to take that step back?
Yeah, it was part of it. I mean, obviously it came down to the opportunity itself. Professionally, the opportunity presented itself, and it's something I wanted to at that time experience and try out and see what it was going to be like. It so happened that we ended up winning both state championships with the teams we had. And again, it's just a credit to the girls I was able to coach with the softball team, and then the guys I was able to coach here at Milford Legion. They're the ones that go out there and do the job. You try to put them in the best positions where they can succeed, and that's your job as a coach.
0-2 pitch is hit on a line to first base. Making the grab is Dan Avery. He takes it to the bag, and just like that, it's a 3 unassisted double play, and that's how the inning comes to an end. 1 run comes home, but Lynch able to pitch his way out of it through 1.5 innings now from Pheno Field. It's a 1-0 lead for Maine South. Welcome back into coverage of Milford Legion baseball here on First Class Radio. Tim Coet here, happy to be joined by Coach Brian Mackey. It's a 1-0 lead for Maine South as Milford is about to bat here in the bottom half of the second inning. A nice double play turned in by Milford to put an end to more damage for the Maine South offense. A sharp line drive hit over to first base, and Dan Avery, who we don't see out in the field defensively all that often, as he is one of the important pitchers on this staff, but turned in a nice play, turned it into an unassisted double play, and wouldn't you know it, now he leads off this inning offensively. What does Dan Avery bring to the table offensively? We do just see him typically exclusively as a starting pitcher, but what does he bring in his offensive game?
Again, when we first saw him playing for BVT, when we were looking for the tryouts back 3 years ago now, he was outstanding at BVT offensively. You know, putting the ball in play, driving the ball in the gap. So I mean, it's one of those situations where the teams he's been on, we've had guys that just were a little bit ahead of him, and we were so concerned about making sure we had him healthy as a pitcher that he didn't get as many opportunities as that we would have hoped and liked. But now this year, I could see him getting some chances to hit.
He's ahead in the count now, 3 balls and 1 strike. Taking his first at bat of the season, took a no decision in the season opener at Leominster. He swings at that 3-1 pitch and hits it in the air out to right field. Settling underneath is LeClaire, and he makes the catch. And now here is Scott DeCapua, the designated hitter. DeCapua getting into a couple of games with Milford back in 2013. He started all 3 games so far, has to bend out of the way of that pitch that was up around the head, but managed to avoid it.
Scott has worked hard to come back from a big injury, knee injury that he had during the football season at Milford High. And looking for big things for him. I know Coach DeVito's excited about having him in the middle of the order this year.
Hits that ball on the ground up the middle, but ranging over to make the play was the shortstop, Anthony Wrench, and he makes the throw over to first base to retire DeCapua. 2 up, 2 down. Here in the bottom of the 2nd inning, that leaves it up to Jeff Basazzi, starting his 3rd straight game behind the plate for Milford. Looks at the first pitch for Monahan, and he hits this one on the ground to shortstop. Again, ranging over is Wrench. The low throw to first base, but it's dug out by the first baseman, DJ Scavone. It's a 1-2-3 inning for post 59. And we've played 2 now from Pheno Field, and it is a 1-0 lead for Maine South post 341 here on your home for Milford Legion Baseball, WMRC First Class Radio. Top of the 3rd inning now from Pheno Field. It's a 1-0 lead for Maine South. Tim Coet and Coach Brian Mackey here in the broadcast booth. Kevin Lynch about to start his 3rd inning of work. He will face the top of the Maine South lineup, Cam Murphy, now about to come to the plate for the 2nd time. Coach, I had a chance to cover the softball team's playoff game against Franklin a couple of weeks ago for Milford TV. It ended up being, unfortunately, a tough loss for the girls in the 1st round. The first time in a long time they haven't made it out of that sectional bracket. But did you have an opportunity to stay up to date on what was going on with the softball team this year?
Yeah, I was able to catch a few games, and I actually was at that playoff game, so I was able to see them. And again, Allie Atherton did an outstanding job. You know, 1 bad inning, and that's the difference in the game. But you got to give her credit for coming back out there and maintaining the Franklin lineup, because they got a nice lineup over there in Franklin.
This ball hit on the ground to shortstop. Dan Mantoni is there. He makes the throw to first base, and Murphy is retired for the 1st out of the inning.
And then they battle back to make it a 5-4 game, and then in the 7th inning having a chance to win it. And the Franklin shortstop made a great play on a line drive by Leah Murray. So I mean, it was just a true showing of what the girls are about. You know, they just battle to the end. It doesn't matter who they're playing and what it's about. They're just going to fight to the end. And a credit to Coach DeVito and the girls for a great season.
1 out and the base is empty here. Michael Sullivan now up for the 2nd time. He popped out to shortstop back in the 1st inning. The wind continues to blow across the outfield here as now this one is hit in the outfield out towards left field, but Matt DeCina ranges in a couple of steps to make the catch, and there are 2 quick outs here in the top of the 3rd inning.
That's what you like to see. 2 pitches, 2 outs. Let's keep it going, right?
Looking for a nice quick inning out of Kevin Lynch to get the bats back up there. Lynch a long look in now to his catcher before dealing with the batter Scavone, who sends it right back up the middle, a scorching line drive that makes it out into center field. Scavone a 2-out base hit. Jeff Bazazzi has gotten the call behind the plate for these first 3 games of the season, Coach. Of course, you pretty much had that catcher spot penciled in each and every day with Nick Crivello for the last couple of years, and it just seemed as though he was one of those guys who just had such a tremendous understanding of what it took at the position, not only defensively but dealing with the pitchers.
I would agree. You look at any successful baseball team, and again, you always go back to pitching, but there's obviously a person that's controlling each of those pitches, and that's the guy behind the plate. Nick Crivello was outstanding for us through his Legion career and capped it off with a great ending last year.
1 ball, 1 strike count to John Roy, who struck out to end the top of the first inning. He's up now with 2 outs, and Scavone at first base. Lynch takes a peek over towards first. Now comes home with it. And the pitch is in for a called strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes the count with 2 outs, and Lynch looking to put an end to this inning right here. Out to a lead again at first base is Scavone. The next pitch in is hit out to shallow right field. That's going to be trouble. It gets down for a hit. Joe White was on his horse trying to get out there to make the catch, but it was up over his head. It dropped down in front of Blake Hill. And after 2 quick outs now, Maine South has responded with back-to-back singles to try to mount another rally. We've got an update from around Zone 4 to bring you as the Wachusett Wombats, who were in here last night, came through with a 6-0 victory. They improved to 3-0 on the season. They shut out Northborough, so 2 straight shutouts now for Post 42 as they are atop the Legion standings, and it just seems like Coach Tidman over there with Wachusett does a great job keeping that team in the mix. They were in the playoffs last year, faced you guys in that intrastate sectional round, so that's another quality program here in the zone.
Absolutely, and again, I always say Zone 4 really is one of the best in Massachusetts. When you win your game against Zone 4 competition, you know you've done a good job.
That pitch has popped up out into shallow center field. It's Joe White who backpedals all the way out there to make the catch. And John Roy is retired, and that is all for the top of the 3rd inning. We'll keep Coach Mackey with us for another half an inning as we continue on here in our broadcast of Milford Legion Baseball on First Class Radio. Dave Monahan back out on the hill for inning number 3 for Post 341, facing batters 9-1 and 2 for Milford. Milford had a couple of hits in the bottom of the 1st inning to mount a rally, but they could not score, and then went 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 2nd. Brendan Pounds leading it off. He hits one on the ground to shortstop, played cleanly by Anthony Wrench's throw. Gets there just in time. A good stretch at first base by Scavone, and Pounds is retired. Brendan Pounds, a player who was in the lineup quite a bit for you over the course of last year. It seemed like it was a tale of 2 seasons for him. He was on fire through the first half of the regular season, batting well over 400, and then it seemed like he just sort of hit a wall somewhere midway through the season. What did you see out of him over the course of the year? Again,
the thing I loved about him, though, is his ability to play middle infield and play the outfield for us. Outstanding speed. You get him on base, you can find a way to get him in, and that's what it came down to. He started off, like you said, on fire at the beginning of the season. And that's how baseball goes. It's a game of averages. Things are going to sometimes go the other way, and it did for him at a certain point in the year. But still came up big with some big plays for us as the season went on. Again, the bat wasn't where he wanted to be at certain points in the season, but he still went out there and played hard, and that's all I cared about out of him. And, he leaves it out in the field, and he's a good player.
DeCina now hits it on the ground, just foul wide of first base. That one quickly rolling past Scavone at first base, but just outside the line, and it's a 1 ball, 2 strike count on Matt DeCina, up now for the 2nd time tonight. He lined out to center field to start the bottom of the 1st inning. The next pitch in from Monahan dips in too low and inside, and it's a 2 ball, 2 strike count. The windup now and the pitch from Monahan, a breaking ball, and it's waved at and missed. DeCina chasing that pitch for strike 3. That leaves it up to Joe White. Coach Shannon Smith, your star pitcher from the softball team, having her freshman year at Kentucky this year. Did you have a chance to keep tabs on her progress?
Yep, talked to her. She definitely had some chances and pitched well at certain times, and looking forward to bigger and better things as her career goes on in Kentucky. I'll stick around for
a ground ball to second base here by Joe White, swinging early in the count. And it's a 4-3 putout that ends this bottom of the third inning. Coach Mackey going to continue to stick around with us for a little bit longer as we continue on in our coverage here. It's a 1-0 lead for Maine South over Milford here on WMRC First Class Radio. Eight in a row now retired by Dave Monahan as he has had a couple of easy innings, and we're now already into the top of the fourth inning. Maine South back up at the plate. Matt LeClaire, Anthony Wrench, and Mark Brousseau, the three expected against Kevin Lynch in this top of the fourth inning. Lynch delivers the first pitch up high for ball one. Maine South, always a tough opponent for you guys, Coach. And actually looking back at the box scores from the last 2 years, they took you to extra innings. The last 2 years in a row, you played a crazy game in their ballpark a year ago. Went 8 innings. You ended up getting a home run from Kevin Martinez in the late innings of that game. So it seems like this team always brings a little bit of drama with them, as now this pitch is hit out into shallow right field for a leadoff single.
Yeah, the coaching staff in Maine South, top to bottom, they do a good job over there. They really keep the guys playing the game the right way, playing hard, and you know, it's always been a battle between us and them for my 4 years coaching. And again, here tonight we're having a 1-0 game and see what we can do.
Matt LeClaire aboard to start the inning with that single. Now here's Anthony Wrench, 1 for 1. He singled in his first at bat as this pitch ricochets away from Vasazzi over towards the Milford dugout. Trying to go all the way to third base now is LeClaire. The throw not there in time. Andy McMillan having to block that pitch to make sure it didn't go into the outfield. So a passed ball on Vasazzi, and the runner ends up going from first to third. That will pull the infield in all the way around for Milford with nobody out here in the inning. Wrench at the plate. Lynch's next pitch. That one in there for a strike. It evens up the count at 1-1. Lynch back to the set. Stares down that runner at third. Now comes home. This pitch is hit in the air out into center field. It's going to get down for a hit. And scoring easily from third base is Matt LeClaire with the second run of the game. Maine South takes a 2-0 lead in RBI for Anthony Wrench on the single. Coach, in a situation like this, back-to-back games where the offense just seems like they might be pressing a little bit, what's the conversation like in the dugout to try to change things up?
Again, I think it comes down to being a little more patient at the plate, trying to see a few more pitches, make the pitcher work a little bit, and see if he can leave one for you later on in the count instead of being so aggressive. Sometimes being a little over-aggressive isn't going to be helpful in a situation like this. So you got to take a deep breath, go up there, have a good at bat, and maybe see a few pitches.
1 ball, 1 strike count on Mark Brousseau, who was responsible for the other RBI so far in this game. Hit a sacrifice fly back in the top of the second inning. Wrench leads off at first as that pitch is swung on and missed. One ball and 2 strikes with nobody out here in the fourth. And another swing and a miss, and down goes Brousseau. That's the second strikeout of the game for Kevin Lynch. The first out here in the inning. That brings up George Schmidt, the catcher. He walked in his only plate appearance so far today up there on the left side. And he takes a pitch up high. Out of the crouch was Vasazzi to keep that one from going to the backstop. Short lead off of first for Wrench. The pitch dips in there for a called strike. 1-1 now the count. Coach DeVito telling me to start the season. He intends to use Andy McMillan in that closer's role this year, as now David Sampson is moving into the starting rotation. 1-1 pitch misses up high. What do you think that transition is going to be like for Sampson, going from the back end of the bullpen to starter for post 59?
I think it's something he's going to relish in. It was something he wanted to do last year as the season went on. He wanted that opportunity, but I kept on saying, you're doing such a good job for us in the role you're in right now. You're going to have to wait your turn and be patient, and you're going to definitely get that opportunity eventually. And this year is his chance. I mean, obviously with Bellingham High School first, and now when he gets over here to Milford Legion, I know Coach DeVito's excited to get him out there and see what he can do for us.
3-1 the count. The next pitch into Schmidt is hit on the ground to second base, could be two. White sends it to second base out there. The throw to first is not in time. That was a little slow developing around the second base bag for Dan Mantoni, and just beating it out at first base was Schmidt. So wrench erased from the base paths. Schmidt aboard on the fielder's choice.
And again, I think Andy McMillan will do a good job in the closer's role. Last year, I think about the East Side game when he came in for us at East Side. Late in the game, we found a way to get a lead, and he shut it down for us that game. So it's something he can do.
Pat Fitzgerald now out of the number 9 spot. He swings at the first pitch, sends it out to center field, and reeling that one in is Brendan Pounds for the final out here in the top of the 4th. Another run comes home for the visitors, and now they take a 2-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the 4th here on WMRC First Class Radio. As Milford will have the heart of their order coming up here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Dan Mantoni leading it off, and he takes ball 1, so a good opportunity here. The right hitter's up to hopefully see a rally here. Here's a 1-0 pitch now. And that one misses. 2 balls and no strikes the count as we continue to be joined by Coach Brian Mackey. The 2-0 pitch up around the eye level of Mantoni, and he's in the driver's seat now, 3-0. Would you give a hitter like Mantoni the green light in this kind of situation?
Not in this situation here. I think here with the...
And sure enough, he holds up, takes the called strike right at the bottom of the strike zone.
Different points in the season, though, with a hitter like Mantoni, definitely I think it's a thought. But there, where we are right now, 2-0 game.
The 3-1 pitch is lined hard but foul down the left field line, and that fills up the count. Mantoni back in on the right side. Here's the pitch, another hard line drive and another foul ball, sending a couple of fans scampering out of the way. Mantoni all over those last 2 pitches, trying to keep one between the lines.
Definitely a guy you want up there in a situation when you want to get something going or you want to knock in a run. So hopefully Mantoni can get a rally started here for Milford.
Here comes the 3-2 pitch, and it's swung on and missed. Monahan wins the battle, collects another strikeout. It's Monahan's 3rd strikeout in the game, and now here's Andrew McMillan. McMillan takes a called strike right on the outside edge. McMillan popped out to the shortstop in his only other at bat. That came back in the 1st inning. He's now down in the count, 0-2. Monahan working quickly now. Here's his 0-2 pitch, and it's waved at and missed. And down goes McMillan. Back-to-back strikeouts of Mantoni and McMillan, and they're 2 away here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Coach, obviously so many memories for you here in your 4 years as head coach. Obviously the championship last year is going to be high on the list, but do you have another memory that really stands out?
I look back at our games against Leominster here too. Those are always battles and finding a way to beat them. And then we had a big win against East Side. Jake Frechette coming off an injury with his ankle, coming up with a big hit to tie the game, and then we take the lead and beat them. There was numerous games in those 4 years, but again, you think about all the players that put on this uniform. Not only the 4 years that I was able to coach, but throughout the history. I mean, there's been great games here continuously every night, and it's a testament to the effort of these gentlemen that put on the uniform, and again, the atmosphere that's created by this crowd.
An 0-2 pitch now to Blake Hill. That swung on and missed, and Dave Monahan striking out the side in order here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Well, Coach Mackey, we thank you so much for taking the time with us tonight, and best of luck to you.
I appreciate it, Tim. It was fun. And again, I want to wish the 2014 Milford Legion team the best of luck this year and look forward to a lot of wins and keep this season going as long as they possibly can, like we want to do every year.
Headed to the fifth inning now. It's a 2-0 lead for Maine South over Milford here on WMRC First Class Radio. Great to have you with us here on WMRC First Class Radio as we bring you coverage of Milford Legion baseball. Tim Coette here, and I was very happy to be joined in the broadcast booth for the first 4 innings of this game by Coach Brian Mackey. Excellent to catch up with Coach Mackey. Meanwhile, checking back into the game, Cam Murphy wasting no time swinging at the first pitch and sending it out beyond the reach of Matt DeCina in left center field for a leadoff double, so he's aboard to start things here in the fifth for the visitors. It's the first extra base hit of the ball game. Kevin Lynch back on the hill once again for Milford. And it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count now to Michael Sullivan, the center fielder and number 2 hitter. He's 0 for 2 so far this evening. The next one in now is hit sharply but foul down the first base line. And it brings the count to 1 ball and 2 strikes with Cam Murphy standing aboard at second base. Maine South able to grab a run on a sacrifice fly back in the second inning. They had an RBI single last inning, and that is the only runs we have seen so far for either side tonight. It's a 2-0 lead for Maine South, and for Milford, the offensive struggles continue. They grabbed a couple of hits right away in the first inning but could not score, and since then they have not had a runner reach base. 11 straight men have now been retired as this ball is hit on the ground to shortstop. Dan Mantoni makes the play and makes the throw to first base to retire Michael Sullivan, but in the process, Cam Murphy able to take third base. One out in the inning and a man at third now for DJ Scavone, who singled in his last at bat. As Lynch stares down that runner at third base again, the infield is in all the way around, but this pitch is hit in the air. Out to left field, DeCina settles underneath, tagging at third, and coming home is the runner. The throw is not going to be in time. Murphy comes in to score on the sacrifice fly. The throw coming in on a couple of bounces from DeCina about midway out into left field. And that allowed Murphy to come in to score. Another sacrifice fly for Maine South to go along with the one they had back in the second inning. And it's now a 3-0 lead with 2 outs and the bases clear, and John Roy coming to the plate. He takes a pitch high for ball 1. A look in for Lynch. Now he comes to the plate. This one is hit on the ground towards shortstop. Mantoni bobbles it, picks it up and throws, but not in time. Just a brief bobble for Dan Mantoni at shortstop, and that was all Roy needed to just beat out the throw. And that's one of those plays that's a bit of a judgment call whether or not you award the infield hit or the error. This Mantoni most likely would have had him at first base had he played that ball cleanly. It was a fairly routine play, so looks as though it's going to go as an error on the shortstop, and that's going to be the third error for post 59 in the game. The runner bluffs at first base, but he holds. It's a 1-0 count to the batter, Matt LeClaire, who singled and scored a run back in the fourth. Ended up going from first to third base on a passed ball that got far away from Jeff Basazzi. It must have hit off of the shin guard, and that allowed it to really take a hard ricochet over towards the Milford dugout, and by the time Basazzi was able to track it down, LeClaire was able to get all the way to third base, and he would eventually come in to score on an RBI single from Anthony Wrench, which at the time gave Maine South a 2-0 lead. It's a 2-1 count now to LeClaire. LeClaire actually has 2 runs scored on the night. He reached on an error in the second inning and came in on Mark Brusso's sacrifice fly. 2 balls and 1 strike with 2 outs and a man at first base. Here's the pitch. It's down and away. And a 3-1 count now. Once again, Roy gets out to a healthy lead. Here's the pitch, and it's up high for ball 4. LeClaire heads to first base. Down to second base now goes Roy. And now Coach DeVito coming out to the mound for a quick conference. Kevin Lynch getting his first start of the season, his first start as a member of Post 59, and it's been a pretty solid performance, all things considered, for Lynch so far. A couple of sacrifice flies doing the majority of the damage, and an RBI single mixed in there. Has a pair of strikeouts over the course of the game. He's walked 2 now after issuing the free pass to LeClaire. He will remain in this game. We haven't seen any stirring yet in the bullpen for Milford. They did have to use Alex Croteau out of the bullpen for a couple of innings, as now Anthony Wrench swings at the first pitch and lines it out into center field for a hit. They'll wave the runner around to the plate. The throw comes in, but not in time. So it's now a 4-0 lead for Post 341 after that sharp RBI base hit. And now Schmidt takes the first pitch for a strike. Two outs in the inning, now a 4-run lead, so things starting to slip away for Milford here. And now they send a pickoff throw down to second base, but it glances off of the glove of Joe White and goes out into shallow center field, and that allows both runners to move up. So that puts 2 men in scoring position, runners at second and third with 2 outs. This pitch is foul tipped into the mitt of Basazzi off the bat of George Schmidt. This pitch hit in the air out to right field, but in foul ground, and it will land harmlessly foul. And this pitch down low. 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs in the inning. George Schmidt up at the plate. He walked back in the second inning, reached on a fielder's choice in the fourth. Here is the 2-2 pitch, and it's up high, and that will fill the count. Still no action down in the bullpen, so this will continue to be Kevin Lynch's game. A payoff pitch coming up to Schmidt. Here it comes. And it's down low for ball 4. Another walk in the inning. And now Fitzgerald coming to the plate for the third time. As the bases are now loaded. Wrench, the runner at third base, Brusso, the man at second, and George Schmidt, the runner at first. Two runs home so far in this inning. One ball, one strike count on Pat Fitzgerald, who grounded into, or lined, I should say, into an unassisted double play at first base back in the second inning. He hits this one in the air in foul territory behind third base. Andy McMillan comes over to make the catch, and that will end the inning. But a couple of more runs come in to score for post 341 in the inning, and it's now a 4-0 lead as we continue on with coverage of Milford Legion baseball here on First Class Radio. 7 and 8 batters to the plate. Dan Avery getting it started as the Milford Bats have once again been just about silent in this game. They've combined in the last 2 contests a total of just 4 hits. 2 hits in the first inning against Dave Monahan, who was pressed into service after arriving to the ball game here today. Was not expected to start, but has done a fine job. But lets a breaking ball get a little too far inside. It hits Avery off of the number, and he'll head down to first base, and that breaks up that string of 11 consecutive batters retired. A much-needed base runner for Milford here, as now DeCapua comes to the plate, and out of the dugout comes the Maine South coaching staff. Monahan had been in such a good groove, needing a low amount of pitches to get through the middle innings of this game. A 1-2-3 inning in the second, another one in the third, and striking out the side in order in the fourth. Coaching staff just trying to keep their starting pitcher focused here. So Avery now leading off of first base as Scott DeCapua steps into the batter's box, and he swings away at the first pitch, and looked like he fouled it off of his foot for strike 1. DeCapua grounded out to shortstop in his only other plate appearance. Now a check over at first base that has Dan Avery diving back into the bag, but he gets there safely. 0-1 the count to DeCapua. And now a pitch misses low, evens the count at 1-1. Now a late strike call on the 1-1 pitch brings it to a 1-ball, 2-strike count. That one looked to be a little off that outer edge, but the strike call thrown up by the umpire. Now here's a 1-2 pitch. This is hit in the air out to center field. Racing back is Sullivan, still going back, and he cannot make the catch. It glances off of the glove. Avery reading that well. He was able to go first to third. Now Scott DeCapua noticing that no one was there covering the second base bag. He's able to move up. And now post 59 with runners at second and third. And nobody out in this inning. Cam Cosette coming out onto the field. It looks like DeCapua will be lifted for a pinch runner. You heard Coach Mackey earlier in the broadcast mention that DeCapua was continuing to get back to 100% after suffering an injury back during the football season. You can see he does wear a pretty sizable brace on the right knee. So a little more speed on the bases now with Cosette at second base and Dan Avery at third, and a big opportunity here for Jeff Bazazzi, the catcher. Milford hasn't gotten a lot of breaks so far in these first games of the season. We'll see if they can turn that error into a break, as Sullivan really should have made that catch, had it in the glove, let it bounce out, and that resulted in 2 bases for DeCapua and allowed Avery to make it to third base. But a quick at bat right here for Bazazzi. He's down on 3 pitches. Another strikeout for Monahan. 1 down in the inning, and Brendan Pounds now coming up. Pounds grounded out to the shortstop back in the 3rd inning. It's his only at bat to this point in the game. Here's the pitch. In there on the outside corner for strike 1. This, I believe, is the first time Milford's had a runner at third base since back in the game to open the year against Lowell. They were able to get runners at first and second in the 6th inning against Wachusett yesterday, but could not advance those runners any further. 1-1 now, the count to Pounds. Monahan from the stretch, the pitch, a big breaking ball that drops in there for a strike. It had Pounds ducking out of the way, but it made its way back over the plate. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Milford desperately in need of a hit with men on. Here's the 1-2, and it's waved at and missed for strike 3. Monahan going to his arsenal of off-speed pitches, and he's been able to get back-to-back strikeouts of Bazazzi and Pounds, and now that leaves it up to the leadoff hitter, Matt DeCina. And DeCina takes the first pitch for a called strike. DeCina hitting one hard back in the 1st inning, but right at the center fielder. He struck out swinging in the 3rd. And now DeCina is granted time at home plate. 0-1 the count. DeCina up. Joe White hoping for a chance on deck. DeCina taking the next pitch that ends up just outside. It evens up the count at 1-1. And now a called strike 2 over the outside edge. The Red Sox and Orioles are currently in a rain delay in Baltimore. They made it to the bottom of the 2nd inning before the tarp came out. The 1-2 pitch just misses for Monahan, and now it's a 2-2 count for Matt DeCina. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs in the inning, and 2 runners in scoring position for Milford, trailing by 4. Here is the pitch, and it's hit on the ground to second base. A couple of big bounces for Cam Murphy, who fires to first for the final out here in the inning. So Milford strands 2 men in scoring position, and we head into the 6th inning now. It remains 4-0 Maine South over Milford here on your home for Milford Legion Baseball, WMRC First Class Radio. Kevin Lynch's day on the mound is done, going the first 5 innings in this game. He is replaced by Blake Hill, who comes in from right field to make his first appearance on the pitcher's mound. Replacing Hill out in right field is Cam Cosette. Cosette had pinch run for Scott DeCapua after he reached second base last inning, so Milford will be without the services of a designated hitter for the remainder of the game, so Hill will bat in his usual spot in the batting order now on the mound, and Cosette will occupy the number 7 spot in the batting order. Again, we want to thank Coach Brian Mackey for joining us for the first 4 innings of this game, giving us a lot of great insight into the 2013 championship team, as well as his experiences over with the Milford softball team, his current endeavors as assistant principal over at Milford High School. And I can certainly say that getting used to covering this post-59 team over the last couple of years, I certainly could not have asked for a better person to help me out here at the ballpark than Coach Mackey. He was always willing and happy to provide his insight in the coach's corner through my first 2 years here. Was always happy to share information with me whenever possible, and certainly went above and beyond what a lot of coaches would do to accommodate a broadcaster tagging along with the team on home games and road games and playoff games. And so I am certainly appreciative of all of the help that Coach Mackey gave me over my first 2 years covering this team, and we wish him the very best of luck. A quality individual, Coach Brian Mackey. It's a 2-ball, no-strike count here in the top of the 6th inning to the leadoff hitter for Maine South, Cam Murphy, as Maine South was able to bat around in that 5th inning. The 3-1 pitch, or excuse me, 2-1 pitch misses, and it's now 3-1. Murphy doubled to lead off that 5th inning. And now sends one right back up the middle for a hard single, fielded out in center field by Brendan Pounds. More good contact out of Cam Murphy. So a man at first base now for Michael Sullivan, who is looking for his first hit of the game. Turns as if to bunt, pulls the bat back, and takes a pitch out of the strike zone. Blake Hill walking the first, or excuse me, allowing a single to the first batter he faced, now falling behind 1-0 to Sullivan. Blake Hill, a lefty pitcher, sends another pitch out of the strike zone, and it's 2-0. Leading off of first base is Murphy. He goes. The pitch to the plate is up high for a ball. No throw from Basazzi. Was maybe unable to get a clean handle on the ball, and it's a stolen base for Murphy. He gets himself down into scoring position. And now the 3-0 pitch. That was the 2-1 pitch, a little off on the count. Now it's 3 balls and 1 strike. And there is ball 4. Or a late strike call thrown up by the umpire. Bit of a delayed call out of tonight's home plate umpire. A little bit of a similar style to Tim McClellan, Major League umpire. 3 balls and 2 strikes now the count, with Murphy now at second base. This pitch is fouled off at the plate. Wachusett post 42, winning their game earlier today to improve to 3-0. They continue to lead the way in the current Zone 4 standings. Grafton Hill was also undefeated coming into play tonight at 2-0. And there is ball 4 missing outside, so Sullivan trots down to first base. It's the first walk allowed by Blake Hill. He's allowed the first 2 batters to reach here in the 6th. And now here is DJ Scavone. Scavone hit a sacrifice fly. Back in the 5th inning. Takes the first pitch for a ball. 4 teams came into Zone 4 action tonight with 1-0 records. Those were Leominster, Maine South, Northbridge, and Shrewsbury. Both runners take off on the pitch in the dirt, and again, no throw from Basazzi. It's a 2-0 count, and now the runners move up to 2nd and 3rd with Murphy, the lead runner, and Michael Sullivan down to 2nd. Dan Mantoni coming in from shortstop to have a couple of words with Blake Hill, who is in a jam now, making his first appearance on the mound. Here's his next pitch. It's swung on and missed. DJ Scavone aggressively swinging at that pitch out of the strike zone on a 2-0 count, brings it to 2-1. Hill ready, another breaking ball. This one hit on the ground to 2nd base. It took a tricky hop on Joe White and now trickles out into right field. Both runs come home to score as Murphy comes in from 3rd. Sullivan comes around from 2nd base. It's a 2-run single for DJ Scavone, who now has 3 RBIs in the game. And Maine South pulling away as they lead this game now by a score of 6-0. And it's another very quiet crowd. In fact, a couple of the fans starting to make their way out to the parking lot now, with Post 59 now trailing in this game 6-0. This is not the kind of play that we've come accustomed to seeing out of Milford. As now swinging at this pitch is John Roy. He sends it in foul ground over towards the Milford dugout. A terrific attempt by Dan Avery going into a slide off to the left field side of the Milford dugout, but could not make the catch. That's an 0-2 count on the batter, Roy. The count as Basazzi finishes his conference with Blake Hill on the mound, who has not yet recorded an out in this 6th inning. He's already allowed 2 runs to score, has DJ Scavone aboard at first base. Here's the 0-2 pitch. It's hit in the air out to center field, but it's going to hang up there for Brendan Pounds to make his way over and make the catch. And there is the first out of this top of the 6th inning. A couple of other games going on around Zone 4 tonight. Eastside against Leominster. That was a 5:30 start time. Also a 5:30 start for Wachusett at Northborough. We already know that game has gone final. Wachusett coming through with another shutout win. They've outscored their opponents 9-0 over the last 2 games, as Wachusett really starts out the season hot. The other game going on, Northbridge visiting Cherry Valley. That game got underway about 36 minutes ago. And after 2 innings, Northbridge leads that game by a score of 4-1. Fouling the 0-1 pitch away was Matt LeClaire. And now getting an update from the Eastside Leominster game. Eastside playing in their first game of the year, certainly had their offense working. They shut down Leominster by a final score of 10-0. So the Eastside Raiders, who represented Zone 4 in the Northeast Regionals last season, getting their 2014 campaign off to a fast start. It ended up being a 5-inning mercy rule game. Here's a 1-2 pitch to LeClaire. It's up high. Two balls and two strikes with one out. And John Roy still aboard at first base. Here's the pitch. It's hit on the ground up the middle. Fielded by White. He flips to Dan Mantoni for the out at second base. The throw to first looked like it might have pulled Dan Avery off the bag a bit. And LeClaire is able to reach. So Scavone is erased from the bases at second. LeClaire reaches on the fielder's choice. And now first pitch swinging. Anthony Wrench nearly sending one into the press box. That one just scooted up over the roof. I'd like to think I'd catch one if it came into my window here in the press box, but odds are that probably wouldn't happen. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count now on Anthony Wrench, who has a trio of singles in this game, also a run batted in. The 1-1 pitch up high. Fino Field has been eerily quiet for these first two games of the season. Milford only losing one game here at home all of last season, in big time danger now of dropping their first two games here at home. And again, this is their longest stretch of games here at Fino Field this season, in the midst of 4 straight here at home. Losing to Wachusett yesterday, the game here tonight against Maine South. They're right back at it tomorrow against Cherry Valley before closing out the homestand on Friday against Northborough. The count has gone full to Anthony Wrench. 3 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs in the inning. So Matt LeClaire will have a chance to get started at first base on the next pitch. He'll come set. The runner goes. The pitch to the plate is lined through the hole between short and third. Rolls out to Matt DeCina for a 2-out base hit. Coach DeVito coming in from the bullpen now with Alex Croteau, who has been warming. Make that Coach Innes coming in after warming up Croteau in the bullpen. Anthony Wrench now 4 for 4 in this game. Now Mark Brusso up at the plate. He has an RBI. The runner takes off for third base. Basozi fakes the throw, and meanwhile, right behind him taking second base was Wrench. So LeClaire a steal of third base, and then Wrench with the delayed steal of second. And now this pitch is hit in the air down the right field line, twisting foul. No chance for Cam Cosette to make the play. Cam Cosette replacing Blake Hill out there in right field to start this inning after Hill took over in relief of Kevin Lynch, who pitched the first 5 innings. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count on Brusso. This pitch is down in the dirt. It's blocked by Basazi. Milford has spent a long time out in the field here in this inning. It's been a laborious frame for Blake Hill and post 59. The 2-1 pitch is swung on and missed. Reaching for that one was Brousseau. And again, Hill one strike away from finally bringing this top of the 6th to a close. 2 balls and 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 men in scoring position, and the 2-2 pitch is dropped in there for a called strike 3. Hill needed that as first strikeout of the inning. But Maine South sends 7 more men to the plate. They score twice and now take a 6-0 lead into the bottom of the 6th inning here on coverage of Milford Legion Baseball on First Class Radio. Joe White getting things started for Milford here in the home half of the 6th, and the deficit getting that much bigger for Milford in the top half of this inning as Maine South extended the lead to 6-0. Monahan sending a pitch well outside of the strike zone to even the count at a ball and a strike to Joe White, who is 1 for 2 on the day, grabbed his first hit in a Milford Legion uniform back in the 1st inning. And now he jumps ahead in the count, 2-1. It looked as though Milford was going to have an opportunity to score first in this game, as the 2-1 pitch misses to bring the count now to 3-1. Milford getting those 2 hits with 1 out in the bottom of the 1st inning, but they could not do anything with them, and it's been all Maine South since. But Joe White able to work a leadoff walk here. Milford getting that leadoff man on base, something they very much need. And now the coaching staff back out to the mound for a visit. Maine South has to be very pleased with the performance out of their starting pitcher so far tonight, going the first 5+ innings now. Allowing just those 2 hits in the 1st inning, allowed a couple of base runners in the 5th on a hit batter and an error. But it's been a very impressive performance for Dave Monahan. Joe White aboard after the walk, and now here's Dan Mantoni, who also singled in the 1st inning and then struck out in the 4th. An 0-1 count, now a pickoff attempt over at first base, and White has to slide back in. Dan Mantoni has a hit in each of the first 3 games on the season. Waiting for his next pitch after a couple of pickoff attempts. He hits this one on the ground to 3rd base. It could be 2. The throw to 2nd base out there. The throw to 1st is not in time. Trying to stretch it out was Scavone. Nearly had the double play, but they rule Mantoni safe at first base. And he will replace Joe White on the bases now with 1 out, reaching on the fielder's choice. Very close play at first. Scavone with good height allowed him to really stretch for that one, as this pitch to Andy McMillan gets away from the catcher, and now Mantoni will move up to 2nd base. These fans growing restless here at Pheno, really urging on Andrew McMillan here in this at bat. Mantoni leads off of 2nd. Here's the 1-0. Drops in for ball 2. That one a little bit low. The 2-0 pitch, and that one hits the outside corner for a strike. McMillan a pop out and a strikeout to his credit. The 2-1 offering, that one a little too far outside. Monahan trying to wear out that outside corner against McMillan, but he's run the count to 3-1. And now a big hack at that pitch, aggressive swinging by Andrew McMillan, but he could not make contact, and now it's a full count. And that pitch misses down in the dirt for ball 4. 2 walks now in the inning for Monahan. Puts men at first and second base, as now Blake Hill comes to the plate. And he'll head over to have a couple of quick words with Coach DeVito before he comes to the plate. Blake Hill had to work hard on the mound coming in relief in the top half of this inning. Trying to have some success now on the offensive side of the ball. He waves and misses at the first pitch, a bit of a half-hearted swing. Oh, 0-1 the count, the runners lead. The pitch is hit in the air in foul ground, but that will head up over the Milford dugout and out of play. 0-2 now the count. A 6-0 lead for Maine South. They've sprinkled their offense throughout this game. Here's the 0-2 now. It's hit on the ground foul wide of third base. And the runners retreat to their bases. Mantoni at second and Andrew McMillan at first base. Hill moved up to this number 5 spot in the order as Coach DeVito tried to shake things up a little bit in the lineup after a tough night last night. Unfortunately, the results have not been any better in this contest, as Blake Hill with a swing and a miss on the 0-2 pitch. He goes down. That's 8 strikeouts now in the game for Monahan. To go along with 2 walks and 2 hits. Milford has not had a hit since the first inning. They've had a couple of base runners over the last 2 innings, but none of them courtesy of a hit. As now Dan Avery tries to keep the inning alive. He sends a pitch deep into foul ground. That one sounded like it clanked off of an automobile out in the parking lot. He's quickly down 0-2. He sends this pitch hard on the ground towards shortstop. It's bobbled there. Wrench trying to recover. He throws across and not in time. Wrench had to travel far to his right to make that play. He did bobble it briefly, tried to recover, but Dan Avery running hard down the line was able to beat it out for the infield single. So that gives Milford a bases loaded opportunity here with 2 outs in the inning. And a big spot for Cam Cosette to make his first at bat of this 2014 year. And already now with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. Monahan a check on the runners, now comes to the plate. This one is hit on the ground towards shortstop, played cleanly this time by Wrench. He'll take it to the second base bag himself. And once again, Milford squanders a bases loaded situation. It's been an unfortunately recurring occurrence for Milford over the last couple of days. And Croteau now into the game. Alex Croteau, the 3rd pitcher that Milford has used on the day after Blake Hill came in for 1 inning. So for the 2nd straight day, Croteau comes in relief and is quickly ahead of George Schmidt by a count of 0-2. So Croteau will have to bat if they get around to his spot in the lineup, which would be the number 7 spot. The 1-2 pitch now drops in there for a called strike 3. A good pitch from Croteau right there. He picks up his first strikeout. Kevin Lynch pitched the first 5 innings of this game. He allowed 4 runs on 7 hits. He walked 2 and struck out 2. Blake Hill came in to pitch the 6th inning. He allowed 2 runs on 3 hits with a walk and a strikeout. And now it's Alex Croteau who strikes out George Schmidt to open up the inning and now deals strike 1 to Pat Fitzgerald, who was hit into an unassisted double play, flown out to center field and fouled out to third base. Hitless out of the number 9 spot in the Maine South order. Blake Hill returns to his previous position out in right field. Cam Cosette is now out of this ball game. Scott DeCapua had started this game in the designated hitter spot. He has since come out of the game. Now Cam Cosette also no longer a part of the game. So Milford back to their original defensive alignment as now Croteau makes quick work of Pat Fitzgerald, striking him out. 2 quick Ks in the inning, and now it's back up to the top of the order, and Cam Murphy, who now bats for the 5th time. He's popped out, grounded out, doubled, singled, stolen a base, and scored 2 runs. He's had an active day atop the lineup. His last 2 trips to the plate, he's hit the ball very hard. Croteau ahead, 0-1. His next pitch is a breaking ball that started out directly at Cam Murphy and then curved back over the plate. Nasty movement on that pitch from Croteau. He's ahead 0-2. With 2 outs and the base is empty, here's the next pitch. And a defensive swing from Murphy. He taps it foul off towards the home dugout. When last we checked, the Red Sox were still involved in a rain delay down in Baltimore, as now this pitch is hit on the ground towards the left side. Andy McMillan takes charge, fields and throws, and collects the out. A very impressive inning for Alex Croteau. He knocks him down 1-2-3. The last chance for Post 59's offense comes your way when we come back with Milford trailing 6-0 here on WMRC First Class Radio. We'll see another pinch hitter come to the plate for Post 59 as they start this bottom of the 7th inning. Cole McNana taking his first at bat in a Milford Legion uniform. He takes a called strike out of the hand of Dave Monahan, who looks to deal Milford their second complete game shutout effort, as his next pitch travels too far inside. One ball, one strike, the next pitch coming in, and it's a breaking ball that stays upstairs. McNana now ahead in the count, 2-1. McNana graduating this past weekend from Milford High School. Takes an awkward swing at that one, and now it's even at 2-2. One of the 9 first-year players on this Post 59 roster in 2014. The 2-2 pitch is in there for a called strike 3 at the knees. And McNana is the first out here in the 7th. Now here's Brendan Pounds, who has grounded out and struck out so far in the game. Takes the first pitch for a called strike. It seems like that strike zone has gotten a little bit larger in the late innings of this game. Here's the 0-1. A called strike 2. The 0-2 pitch. That one a half swing from Brendan Pounds. He grounds it right back to the pitcher. Monahan fields and throws, and there are 2 quick outs here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Milford trailing by 6 down to their last out. As Matt DeCina now comes to the plate. Everyone still standing up in the Milford dugout, continuing to keep hope alive right to the very end in this game. As DeCina watches the first pitch sail outside for ball 1. 2 outs and the base is empty. And now DeCina takes ball 2. And there's a called strike. 2-1 now the count. Milford 0-2 coming into this game. Maine South coming in, winning their first game of the year. Looking like they're on the verge of improving to 2-0 on the season. It's a 3-1 count right now on Matt DeCina. Here's the pitch. And it's up high for ball 4, so Milford not going quietly. They collect a base runner here in the 7th inning, and that gives Joe White an opportunity for one more at bat. White had one of those 2 Milford hits back in the first inning. Little did we know then we would not see another hit, at least until this point in the ball game. Milford stuck on 2 hits since inning number 1. Here's the 1-0. It's in there for a strike. Since that first inning, Joe White has grounded out and walked. This pitch is hit on the ground towards second base. This should do it. Fielded there by Cam Murphy. He throws to first base for the final out of this game, and Milford starts off this 2014 season on a 3-game losing streak. They did not lose 3 games in a row all of last year or in 2012, so uncharted territory here now for Milford as the struggles continue to start the season. We'll step aside and wrap up things.